Yo, what's up, everybody? This is your boy, the dope ass dude, and I am so happy to be out tonight with you all. It is the 1 year anniversary of the Dope Ass Dude podcast, and I am grateful for you sticking it out with me over this year. And hey, I am really excited about what's going to happen tonight, and I'm also excited about what's going to happen throughout the year. So, as you know, just our normal things. If you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, if you don't mind subscribing to the channel right now, and while you are there, click on notify so you can be notified every time a new video is loaded to the podcast. And then also, if you don't mind, going ahead and clicking on like while you're there as well so that it can get shared with others just like you. And if you aren't following me on Instagram and TikTok, please go out and follow me on those platforms. I am the Dope Ass Dude podcast on both IG and TikTok. And for those of you that are on the go, you can always check out the podcast on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts each week. So again, thank you for being here tonight. And I'm really excited because we have like amazing topics that we're going to talk about. And we have 6 guys on here. Well, 5 guys that are going to be on here, 5 guests, and they all have a unique background. Some of them you know, some of them you don't. You will get to know them on tonight, and I'm really excited about introducing you to the newer fellas because tonight's conversation is going to be off the chain. So if you don't mind, go ahead and get on in that chat and let's get to talking and get the questions rolling because I'm quite sure you're going to have a lot of questions on tonight. So we're going to go ahead and bring on our Skylar and get him introduced to you guys. Skylar, what's going on, man?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on. You know, I always love being on here, chopping it up with you.
Absolutely, man. So, Skylar, tell us a little bit about you. Of course, I know you, so tell them a little bit about you. Introduce yourself.
Oh man. Well, last week I just celebrated my 12-year wedding anniversary. We have 5 beautiful daughters. I have my dog Dembe, my only son. And I love being on the show when you invite me on, man. It's great. And that's mostly me, man. I love to run, love to work out. That's me in a nutshell.
And everybody, I mean, I know you're getting to know Scholar tonight, but you will definitely fall in love with him by the end of the podcast because he has such amazing energy and he brings such a great perspective. So I'm really excited to have you on here, Scholar, and can't wait to hear you chime in, man. Wow. So let's go ahead and bring Sentell on out and introduce him as well.
Hey, what's going on, brother?
What's going on, man? How's H-Town? Is it hot down there?
Oh man, it's 1,000 degrees outside, man. So we staying inside around here. So yeah, man.
That's what's up. So tell them a little bit about you, Sentell.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm 43 years old, father of 3, 22, 15, and 14. My eldest son just graduated from Prairie View A&M, and so we're celebrating that. And avid fitness person, try to stay in shape, keep up with these babies. IT consultant, been doing that for 25 plus years, and yeah, man, excited to be on and to chop it up with the fellas today, man.
Absolutely. Now, everybody is probably surprised that you have a kid or a son that just graduated from college because you look like you just graduated from college.
Hey, man, you got to do what you got to do because them young lions be rattling the cage, baby. So you got to stay in shape, man.
That's so true.
Yeah.
So true. So let's bring Eric on out here. Eric, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, John? Dope ass dude.
How you doing, brother?
I'm good, and you?
I am amazing, dude. So everybody know you, but go ahead and tell us a little bit about you as well, man, for those new people out here.
I'm Eric Guy, just recently divorced back in March. I got 2 kids. My daughter, just graduated from Prairie View also, 22 years old. I got a 10-year-old son. I'm in the DFW area, living life, enjoying myself.
Nice. Well, let's get Willie on out here. Let's get Willie on out here. Willie, what's going on, man?
What up, fellas? What up? What up? What up?
So they know you too, Willie. So you're gonna have to talk.
Yeah. I'm Willie, 47, one wife for 27 years, one son. He's 25. Yeah, he graduated from Oklahoma Baptist a few years ago. Got a grandbaby, Skylar. That's the joy of the life right now. She runs everything. That's about me right there.
Nice.
Love that name.
Nice.
Thank you. Thank you, Skylar.
And let's get JJ. What's going on, man?
What's going on? Congratulations on a year of Dope Ass Dude podcast, man.
I appreciate that,
That's
brother.
awesome.
Thank you for your support throughout the year. So tell us a little bit about you as well, man.
Well, I'm here in the Metroplex as well, live in Arlington. I'm a single parent father. My son is 11 and going to the 6th grade. And I'm getting married again on December the 3rd.
All right. Congrats.
Yeah, congratulations, bro.
Yeah.
So you've been married before, right?
I have.
Yep. And so why are you getting married again?
Wow, straight to it.
Straight to it. Why are you getting married again? You done been married before.
You have been married once, man. You go back into it again. That's a dumb decision. No, you know what? I know for a fact the first time, people can say a whole bunch of stuff like, oh, she was bad, this, that, and the other. I think it was a combination of things. I think she didn't fit me and I didn't fit her. And I didn't pay attention to the warning signs that showed that I should definitely not have been in the relationship that I was in. But I chose it anyway. This one, though, I've been able to see her in all seasons. We've been together for about 4 years. And so I've been able to see her throughout enough seasons to find out the difference between her character and what is really fake. Yeah. So that's made a big difference.
How did you miss the signs in the first relationship, in the first marriage?
I think it was a combination of things, man. I think it was I really wasn't doing the right approach, and I had to do a relationship. We was having a whole bunch of premarital, sex. That's one. I think another thing too, the stress of your boys getting married and you the odd one out. When you gonna get married? When you gonna get married? When you gonna get married? I was a lot younger then, and we were together. And I was just like, well, maybe this is not a red flag. Maybe this is not this. Maybe this is not a sign. Maybe it's just me. The reality was it was me, but it was also a sign too. And I should have acted on those. And I find a lot of guys the same way. If they be honest with themselves, there's a whole bunch of red flags. And then there's a whole bunch of caution signs too that should have prepared you for you to have to go to the red flags and say, stop, don't do this. And you didn't. And if we can be honest with ourselves, even brothers that have never been divorced, just brothers that went through some bad relationships, be honest enough to say, dude, I shouldn't have been with this girl. Either 1, I wasn't ready, or either 2, she didn't match me, or either 3, I forced something that shouldn't have been, or 4, it was a bad relationship, but the cookie was too good, whatever it is. Something got us in the situation where we ignored some signs that were there. Be that as it is.
And I think that happens on both parts, men and women. A lot of times women are more accused of avoiding the signs than men. So what made you overlook the signs? Because I'm quite sure you saw some resemblance of, hey, this ain't working. We're not supposed to be together. Why did you overlook that?
Sometimes through that, I was, even before I was married, I was kind of avoidant of relationships. I was all right with us kicking it, but I just didn't want anything that was more concrete. I kind of focused on that mantra of Jay-Z, first time you fuss, I'm leaving. That kind of perspective. So if we got into arguments and things of that nature, and I really wasn't mature for handling, arguments and conflict. And so I'll just be out the door. So then when you're a little older, when you're in your 30s and you get into a relationship, your late 20s, your early 30s in your relationship, you're wondering, is it really the red flag or is it just me tripping? Is it me on some stuff or is it really a red flag? And so some of those things I claimed it as maybe I'm just me, maybe it's just me tripping. And so I engaged and stayed in it when I should have been like, no, it's time to go.
Yeah. And so Sentell, so let me ask you this here. So have you ever been in a situation where you overlooked signs? They were like in your face, but you overlooked them. And if so, why did you overlook them?
I would say that, that's kind of a loaded question in my opinion, depending on what your perspective is. I've been married for 19 years, and at the moment I'm in limbo, right? Let's just put it that way. It's complicated, right? So I wouldn't say that there's signs that are being missed. I think that from my perspective, as you continue on with a relationship, different seasons come, ups and downs, ebbs and flows happen, right? Mm-hmm. So people change, right? We all change. They say like every 3 to 5 years, we change as individuals. So what's a red flag today, or what may have been a boundary today, may have not been one of those things 5 years ago, right? Because we're all, we're changing all the time, right? So you get to a point to where, particularly once you get older, you tend to really start to solidify what your ways and your expectations, what your boundaries are as you move to, like, I don't want to say the golden years. I don't want to sound like I'm that old, but once you start moving down the line, you're like, I totally don't want to deal with this for the rest of my life, or I do, or I'm okay with that, or these different things. So to answer your question, that's not been my experience. I think that there's just some things that we have to work through as, just in a relationship, and you have to make the decision whether or not you want to work through those things or not. Both sides of the coin, because your partner, they're changing, they're evolving as well. So they're going to see some things that, they feel the same about you, and it's just depending on what season you're in, it's going to determine how you're able to mesh and push forward, in that relationship.
Yeah, so let me ask you this here, because you just said something really interesting. Both parties, sometimes, maybe not both parties, but one party is changing. And we notice that change. When you notice that they're changing, and it may not even be a change for the worse. It could be them evolving into greater, yet instead we're staying the same. Like, what in your opinion, like, how do you just let that slide, opposed to you being retroactive, or you being getting ahead of it and saying, hey, maybe I need to step my game up because they're changing, they're evolving, and I'm staying the same? Or do you evolve with them, or what do you think?
Man, that's a great question, right? Because I think that, as we're evolving as individuals, it depends what you're rooted in, what your principles are, right? None of us are perfect, and we're all going to change, right? So it depends. To me, it's as a man, there's a duty there to hang on with your partner, while they're going through those changes, right? And for your partner to hang on with you as you're going through those changes, right? These are going to be ebbs and flows. Some of these changes can be like extremely trying, right? Trying times and stuff like that. But again, I come from a family of, my parents have been married for well over 30 years, right? 30, probably almost 40 years now. My grandparents were together, so I've always seen marriages that last. Have those marriages been perfect? No, so, but what I do know is as they went through those ups and downs, they figured out a way to work things out, right? And sometimes, some people will say, well, a lot of times a woman will work things out back in those times, older women, because they didn't have the monetary, they didn't have the finances to be able to make their moves and different things like that, which I hear that. But ultimately, I would say that, I feel like nowadays we live in times where, relationships are disposable. Sometimes we act as if relationships are disposable. You have to be rooted in something, man, and that's my opinion, right? It's easy to rock with your partners when things are going great. And it's always tough to rock with them when you hit those dips and those low times. So, just your principles, I think, is what matters. So when you're looking for a partner, you got to find out if you share those principles. Are we ride or die? You know what I'm saying? Are we going to forever work this thing out? Is divorce off the table? I hear some people say, like, look, it doesn't matter what me and my spouse go through. Divorce is off the table, right? Or are we going to be a type of people? Are you the type of person that when the season change and it's not working for me, it's not serving me, I come out, and I think we see a lot of that nowadays too, in the social media era. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
John, I was just thinking when you said that too, I think it's good to define what growth and change means, because if a person grows and says, okay, I want to go back to college, that's positive. If someone says, I want to advance my career, that's a good thing. People change. If a person loses a mother or loses a father, that'll cause a rift sometimes. If a child, passes, I had a person I worked with that lost a child, that's rough. But if it's something like a lack of trust, I'm going to go out all night long. If it's the idea of infidelity, if it's an idea of just totally now, disrespectful and belittling, if it's a situation of money, finances, where one person just wants to wild out with the money, that's a different type of change that needs to be discussed too. And so sometimes we say, we just grew apart from each other, but we don't really define what that means.
Right. And I do agree. Go ahead.
John, let me say something. With Jay and Sentell, you spoke about, both of you guys spoke about seasons. And Jay, you said something to the nature of the young lady you went through, you dated her for 4 years, and the different seasons that you saw her in. And then Sentell, you said another thing about seasons with the season that you're in with your relationship. Now, we're in the season of summer. We've never experienced a summer this hot, all across the globe, just tremendous number. This is a different type of season. How do you navigate through a season, when you ain't seen nothing like that? And then when we signed up for marriage, because again, I was married and I went through a divorce, but when you signed up for marriage, it says for better or for worse. This is the worst season on record. How do you navigate through those seasons? How do you do that?
For me, I had to go back, and I didn't do this in my first marriage. I had to go back and find out what are the foundational truths that makes Jay who he is. And I didn't do that in the beginning. I fabricated it with a lot of over spirituality and a lot of talk and what I thought was the right thing. But I didn't ask myself and really reconcile that within myself. What are those things that make you who you are? And what are those things that you believe that you need? And there's some things, obviously, in your life, there's some parts of your life that you have to grow from. You don't even know you have to grow from it. But what are those foundational convictions that are about you that you're like, these are things that are essential for me? And so when going through those seasons, when you go through seasons that you've never seen before, you should always be able to relate back to what is constant or what is foundational for you to pull out of. It's almost like sports. You may not see what it looks like to ever be, 4th and 1 in the Super Bowl on the 2-yard line, but you should have at least practiced some type of 2-minute drill or some type of drill enough to know that if I've never been in this situation before, this is the foundation of what I've learned and what I've made concrete within my own life. And I can at least go back to that to help me in some way maneuver in some kind of healthy way. And so with my fiance, I was trying to figure out what is the core about me, and does she match those core tendencies within her life as a conviction that is her own, not she's holding on to this conviction because I have it because she likes me. And we had to maneuver through that. And then we dated through COVID too. So COVID.
I think you really hit it on the head. Is you have to find somebody who matches your truest self. And typically when I've been a relationship person, my oldest 2 daughters, their mother I got with in 7th grade. We broke up like when I was 22, then not 22, maybe 21. And then after that, I met my current wife like 6 months after the breakup with their mother, and then I was married by 25 with 5 kids. So and I think when, like Jay was saying, I didn't, going from middle school to 21, that's a huge gap to be with the same person. And my 21-year-old self is not this, doesn't, require the same things that my 13 and 15. And really, I think it was what I lusted for and what I loved was two different things.
Right.
Like my wife and the mother of my oldest two, completely opposite. And I think when you're younger, you do kind of follow what you lust for, and you do try to change yourself to fit into the person that you want to be with.
Right.
And that causes a huge rift because you're not being your true authentic self at that time. You're
Right.
trying to be what that person wants you to be. And little by little, that kind of tears you down. So you're not even allowed to grow in that situation. You're doing more so of a regression. And then you start to kind of resent that person and you just kind of grow apart. And with my wife, what kept us going, because even from 25 to now I'm 36, that that gap, it allowed me to grow, but grow in a positive manner because I was myself when she met me. I told her everything about me up front. She knew all of it, all the dirt, everything. And she was okay with it. And what I know a lot of people used to laugh at me, but every year we give ourselves a yearly review and we talk about
That's
things
awesome.
that, yeah, we give ourselves a
What's
yearly
up?
review. And I remember women used to get on me. They're like, why would you give your wife a review? And I'd always tell them, every day you go to work at a job, and that
You
job
get a
sits your
review.
ass down
Yeah.
and you get a
You get a
review.
review.
Right.
You get a
And
review.
they tell you, yep, and they tell you things that you should stop, things you should start, and things you can continue.
Right.
And if you can honestly sit down with somebody and say, look, I really don't like this. This is something that we should stop. And then things we should start. I think these are things that we can really do and grow from. And then things we can continue doing and say, this is what I'm really happy with. If you can sit down and do that, it gives you an opportunity to grow together because you know what the expectations are. You
Right.
know where your growth is going for each individual person, and you know where your future lies. And if you all are going towards the same future goal, no matter the season, at the end of the day, you know we're trying to achieve this. And if we
Right.
can get to there,
Right.
we can keep struggling, we can keep fighting through. Because marriage is one hell of a roller coaster ride that you just
Hmm.
continuously get on day after day, year after year. You're going to have those peaks where you're great and you're having fun. And then all of a sudden that adrenaline dies off and you're on your way down that hill and you're like, shit, here we are back again, waiting for the climb up. But the good thing is that I know at some point that I'm going to start climbing up. Also, I know I'm going to start going down, but I can control that. And honestly, it sounds like a lot of you all been married for a minute and y'all know that you can feel that energy in your house where you're like, oh shit, we on the spiral down.
Yeah.
We all know that energy.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like you wake up, your feet hit the ground, your wife rolls out of bed, hey babe, good morning. And you're like, oh damn. Then she just hits you with the and you're like, okay, I guess we're here. So
Yeah.
we know it, we feel it, and what keeps me going is I just know we all want the same goal at the end of the day. So that keeps me trucking. It keeps me trying to, to slowly go back up that ladder again. And that's just how I stay in it.
So let me ask you guys this here. Do you think it's unfair to hold your mate to a decision they made when you guys married? And what I mean by that, depending on age, the age that you get married at, you're constantly evolving. You're constantly evolving. So they sign up and they think, oh yeah, well, going out on a date is not that important to me. It's not important that you romance. And then they get 5 years, they need that. But is it fair for you to say, well, you didn't ask for that in the beginning and you holding them to who they were and not who they are? Do you think you have to extend grace to your partner throughout marriage, or do you just hold them to what they signed up for?
You gotta learn how to evolve. You gotta learn how to grow. You know, and John, like you and I had the as our discussions over the phone. You know, it's a process. Not everybody's willing, want to go to the process. If you say, hey, in the beginning, I don't want to do this, but then 5 years later, Now I do want to do that. You have to learn how to go through the process to get to the point. Yeah, I know you didn't want to do it then, but now I have to change my mindset to accommodate, to learn how to evolve in the marriage instead of staying stagnant at the marriage. Everybody likes the wedding, the day of the wedding. I mean, all of that is 30 minutes. That's just the show. And then afterward is when you have to start putting in the work. Do I have to change? Yes, I have to change. I do have to evolve. Some people are not willing to evolve. So yes, if they didn't want to be dated, romance in the beginning, but now they want to be romanced now, you have to be open-minded enough to change to accommodate that in order for the marriage to grow.
But as men that have been married, if that happened to you guys, would you guys change? Or do you just believe she's asking for unreasonable things?
No.
She
It
ain't never
depends
asked
on what
for
it depends on what the ask is. Like
Right.
the dating, yeah, we can do that. That's something simple. But let's say your wife is a stay-at-home wife, you're the breadwinner. Then all of a sudden she's like, "Hey, I want to go to work." And then you still have kids, you still have you have what they consider traditional gender roles. And now you want to kind of switch those gender roles. So now I'm still going to work and I'm coming home and I still got to cook and now the kids are taken care of. That's more of a serious change that will require a conversation. And that will require some time because that's something that both parties would have to get used to. Because that's not like a date. A date now I can throw you on my calendar. You want to go out once a month? Bet. Every third Saturday. There you go. Like you can do that, or if you want something spontaneous or planned for, all right, cool. But something that is significant that requires like a lot of sacrifice. And if we're talking, you've been a stay-at-home wife for the first 5 to 10 years, and now we're year 15, you're like, hey, I want to get to work, but I'm used to coming home to a meal. Nah, I need to know what it is that made you want to get up and go to work. Why do you want to do this? Do you feel like you need another purpose? Do you feel like, you're just bored? Then that's another conversation. But you also have to allow time for that person to adapt to the changes that you want. You can't request it and then wake up the next day and be like, poof, I need it. No, you got to give me time. You got to let me have my trials and errors. Allow me to make my mistakes. Allow me to forget that that's the things that you want. But really, a good conversation will help with that.
Okay, well, let me ask you this here. So if a woman comes to you, if your wife comes to you and she says, hey, I want to go to work. And then you say, okay, well, we have to set up a plan, and she's, she's wanting to do it and she doesn't let up on it. A lot of men, well, not a lot of men, some men believe that's when she's using masculine energy because she's stepping out of line and going against what you said. Do you believe that is masculine energy?
You can't say
in
go
her
against
head,
what you said. That's like you talking
hey,
to a child. That's a grown ass woman. You starting an argument right there.
but
Right.
that's how she feels because it's like she probably feeling like I don't even have to ask you. I can just go to work. Is that masculine energy?
I think there's a part
No.
of maturity that you have to have as a person. And then I think there's a level of maturity that you have to have, what I would call relationship maturity, in the sense of understanding that some things is not a challenge. What you fighting that for, man? I want to go back to work. Well, let's think about this. Let's go. Well, no, I want to go back to work. Well, you ain't going to work. You're going to be at home. Come on, man. You have to have a little bit of relationship maturity to understand, like, let's have a plan. If this is what you want to do, it's not going to crush us. It's not a sin issue. It ain't going to break us. What do we need to do to come up with a plan so that it works functionally, so that you're able to be facilitated with your need of having a job, going back to work? For whatever reason it could be that she wants to feel like she's significant to bringing finances into the home, or whatever it is. Let's at least talk about it and come up with a plan so the family doesn't suffer.
Yep.
Nice. Willie, you was about to say something?
Yeah, it's not always that simple as just going to work. It could be anything. Sometimes you're not willing to make the change for the other person. What about that? Sometimes it's not just cut and dry, like you want to go to work or you want to go back to school, or it can be something that it's just a no for you. It goes against what part of your principles, or it's just something that you just don't want to do. You don't always, and that's the thing about marriage. Every conversation or every situation, we don't both see eye to eye. It's not always
Right.
going to be, okay, we're going to compromise. Sometimes we just going to both stand on our own and say, hey, I'm not doing it. Well, I'm doing it. And you have to figure out ways to get past those moments. Those are the toughest moments that you're going to have in marriage. It's not the ones that you can compromise on. Sometimes she's going to say, I'm going to this concert. And sometimes you say, well, I ain't going. And that's just what it is. At the end of the day, it don't mean you love her any less or that she loves you any less. It's just this is something that she's passionate about, and it's something you're passionate about, going the opposite way. And it's just an impasse that y'all have to get past. It's not a reason to call it quits because y'all disagree on something, and you might not never agree on that, whatever that thing is, whatever it may be. You might not never agree upon it. And those are just things that you just have to get over, So every situation isn't going to end in compromise. I know people always talk about that, like, oh, we compromise this. No, sometimes no. I want the blue car. Sometimes I want the white car. And that's just how it goes down.
And I see Sentell
You can agree to
smiling back there.
disagree.
So
Yeah, I'm
Sentell,
smiling
Yeah.
because
Hey, we
listen,
ain't even agreeing to disagree. We just disagreeing.
We're not agreeing on nothing.
We ain't agreeing on that.
but, hey,
So
then
Sentell, what you got?
there's deal breakers like the Keke Palmer situation. I'm going to the concert like this, and it's like, nah, the hell you not. You know what I'm saying? Number one. Number two, if you do decide that's what you're gonna do, that goes against my principles. We're not rocking like that. Not miles. You know what I'm saying?
So if she did it, what do you do though?
Say again?
But this the thing.
If she did it, what do you do?
Man,
This
listen,
the thing about situation like that. Hold on, real quick. Let me. If she's really your partner and you're really her partner, you both know lines that you won't cross, because that line is pretty much you're disrespecting me or putting me out in a bad way that I wouldn't do to you. So in that situation, if he was so mad about it, it should have never got to that point. So I'm thinking at some point at home he was fine with it because they had videos of him showing her twerking and he was the cameraman.
Thank you.
So
Yep.
So he just got embarrassed because everybody else got involved in it. Like, look at Keke, she's a mama and she out there, and he just felt the backlash and he lashed out because he wasn't ready for that.
But Willie, I don't know what happened in the Keke Palmer situation, but I know it was a situation. One day we were getting ready to go to the gun range, and my wife wanted to wear some tights, and I, not that it's bad or anything, but I'm like, hey, look, I'd rather you not wear that. Well, why? I say because we're going in an environment where there's a lot of men, and I don't want them just basically staring you down like you're a piece of meat. Because I know how I am. If I see a woman in some tights or looking good, I mean, I'm a look. So don't create that environment. Just put some put some normal clothes on so we can go have fun. So we don't draw no unnecessary attention to ourselves. So it won't be any kind of situation.
But Eric, just saying, well, hey, I don't think you should wear that. Do you think you could have said that differently? That maybe she
Probably so. I
without
probably
asking questions.
Yeah.
Because to hear maybe you shouldn't wear that opens up so many questions, like why don't you want me to wear it? And then also we have to be honest with our relationships as well. So we get into it all the time about our partner telling us what to do or what not to wear. That was an innocent thing, but in that moment, because y'all have history, she wasn't receiving it in the way that we said it. So maybe you could have said that a little bit better.
I absolutely, but at the end of the day, she saw my point of view, and she just put on some jeans, and we enjoyed the night. I don't remember how I said it, but I know I'm like, hey, look, I don't think that'll be, a good idea. However I said it, but I just expressed my concerns about her wearing that in that type of environment.
Okay.
So then I'm always wonder what happens when you're in a relationship and you're at the stalemate. What happens when you're like, well, what happens in a situation like Eric, if she was like, well, I want to wear this. So then what happens in the relationship with the stalemate?
We don't go to the gun range that day. We say that.
He said you
Yeah.
ain't going nowhere.
We don't go to the gun range that day. Hey, I just called and the gun range closed. I know something happened.
He said it's closed.
We're not going.
So hold on, Sentell, you have something you wanted to say, man. I'm sorry about that.
Man.
So I was going to say, as it pertains to situations like this, my belief is the reality is sometimes our women don't understand that we are supposed to protect them, right? And in a lot of cases, we need y'all to help us protect us.
Right.
So it's not that we're telling you what you can't do, but my job is to protect you. My job is to protect us. So don't make my job harder than what it has to be. I'm letting you know this because I have, as your spouse, as your husband or your partner or whatever, maybe I have some foresight of where we're about to go, what we're about to do, what we're about to experience here. So not that anybody's afraid, scared, nervous, anything like that, but a lot of people don't went to jail behind silly decisions.
Right.
Getting into somebody getting pumped or hey man, you stand a little too hard, woo, woo, woo. And then that destroys the family in totality, right? Because now the man's in jail or something popped off, and now we're going through litigation. It gets destructive. So the bottom line is, it's one of those scenarios where we're saying, look, I need you to help me help us, to protect us. We're trying to do greater things for the family. We're trying to keep the family together. Don't make me have to go, get ignorant with these knuckleheads, because they're going to look,
Yeah.
Depending on who you're working with, they're going to look, you know what I'm saying? But if it's a little bit too much and I ask you, hey, look, I don't feel too comfortable with that, can you change that? And to me, that's a fair ask, because ultimately I'm asking you because I'm trying to protect us as a unit.
Man, you said that so well. There's gonna be dudes out here recording the hell out of this. What'd he say? So I can tell her not to get this out. What'd he say? Help
Okay,
us
but I got a
protect
rebuttal
us.
for that, Skylar. So
Oh,
you
I do too, because I don't care what my wife wear when we go out. I tell her all the time, I don't care, man. To me, my wife is sexy as a woman walking. No offense to none of y'all wife. That's just my opinion of my wife. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, so I'm like, I want her to go out. Like when she out with me, I want people. First of all, let's be real. If our wife didn't turn not one head, she wouldn't have turned yours.
Thank you.
She gonna go out and people gonna look. When my wife go out, she can throw on some sweatpants and a sweatshirt and a hoodie and a beanie, and somebody at the Walmart or the Kroger's gonna be like, hey, they gonna do it regardless. And
I get it.
that's why I don't, that's just me. I just don't put any focus on what she wears, because you're gonna get hit on regardless.
Well,
You know
we're
what I
talking
mean?
about two different extremes, right? Like, so I mean, I get it. Like, we all want our partner to look great. That's what we work for. We're not married, no booger wolves out here. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
we look a certain type of way. However, still there's still a place where there's a time and a place for some things. There's like Eric said, like we're going into. Look, we're about to go into the abyss over here. You know what I'm saying? It's some lions and wolves over here. It's about to go down. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people, a lot of cats, depending on where you go, they get bold. If you're in a space where there's a lot of alcohol and different things going on, that's that liquid courage going on. So then it's like, what I'm not saying is that we want our partners to look like Mother Teresa or anything like that. But if you go somewhere, let's keep it respectful, because at the end, my job is still to protect you, and I'm going to go to the end of the earth to do that, right? But let's not go into a space that can be detrimental to us as a unit. You know what I'm saying? That's
let me ask this question, and then we're going to move on to the next thing. So, fellas, somewhere in that whole situation of protection, that in her eyes, it changed from protection to control. Mm-hmm. Somewhere it changed that, because when a woman initially gets with a guy, she's attracted to the protection. She's attracted to knowing that a guy is going to have her back. He's going to be there if she needs someone to fight for her. So she's not going to question those type of things, regardless to what it is. It could be what she's wearing, where she's going, because she's automatically going to assume that it's out of protection. But somewhere in that relationship, it went from protection to her feeling is control. Do you think that's because the insecurity in the man?
No,
Do you
that's
think he developed
everything.
some type of insecurities along the way?
No, it's everything. Think about the government. Their job is to protect people, and they do that by controlling the situation. So it's a part of it. You can't have one without the other. So sometimes people just want to break the rules. Some people want to break the law. They don't care about the protection. They don't care about the control. They just want to do what they want to do. And sometimes that's what the woman wants to do. Nobody can control nobody in a situation. I don't care how long you've been married. You can't control that person. You can only suggest, things to them and hope they take that advice.
But
I
if they
mean,
don't
it's
take
like,
the advice, do you get upset about it? To the point,
oh,
like
it's
what
gonna
Eric
be.
said, we're not going to the gun range.
That's how you combat the situation. That's how you control the situation. He said we just don't go. If we're at an impasse, like I said earlier, sometimes we don't agree, and when we don't agree, then nothing moves. We just stalemate. We're not going. He put the keys
Okay.
down. He go take his shoes off and put the gun back in the safe.
Okay. Sentell, you had something you was about to say?
Let me add this real fast. What I find is all too often nowadays, when a man has a boundary, it can easily be translated as an insecurity.
Say that.
Right.
Just because we set our boundaries, it does not mean, and you disagree with our boundary, it doesn't mean that we're insecure. That's just our boundary. Now a lot of times when a female has a boundary, it's just that, it's a boundary. You know what I'm saying? And if we cross those boundaries, then it's a red flag, right? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so just because we set a boundary, it does not mean that it's insecure. We're insecure. No, look, this is the way that I want this thing to operate for us. So.
But is it unfair to change boundaries once you're in a relationship? Because
Absolutely.
when in the beginning of the relationship, you thought it was cool that she goes out looking hot with you. But now you done picked up a dad bod and she's still tight and right. And she going out and she looking good and she getting attention and you not. Now it's a boundary that we need to set. You shouldn't wear that.
Well, see, that's
Is that
different.
fair
You
to have
can't
those boundaries
complain.
in?
Nah, you can't complain
Nah.
about it. When she was dressing like that when you met her, that's what it was. I mean, that's like when people fall in love with a stripper. You knew she stripped before. You can't tell me you
That's
can't
kind
do
of
that.
different. She wasn't your wife,
Nah,
though. She wasn't
it
your
don't
wife
matter.
at the time.
I
Your
feel like you can't
girlfriend
request
can
that.
do things. Your wife got privileges. Your girlfriend don't. Don't
And
we
it sounds
understand
like
that?
your
We all
wife have
agree.
restrictions that your girlfriend don't.
There
But I
you
think
go.
Same thing.
I think you got
There you
to
go.
peel off the layers too. Peel off the layers, man. Did she? When you peel off the layers, what I'm hearing, the bottom line: does she honor what you say? Can
Respect.
she honor and respect what she say? What you say?
Right.
If you dating, if she can't honor and respect what you say when you
She's not
dating,
for you.
you're not gonna get married, and she honor and respect what you say. So that means if she honored and respected what you said when you dating, when you get married and be like, baby, we going to the gun range. There's a whole bunch of dudes right here. Some of these dudes is wilding out. Can you just wear something that is a little less revealing or a little less something like that, understanding the context of where we're going? If she values you and cares about you, she would at least say, I get what you're saying. I got you.
That boy,
Because
good.
I don't want you feeling like
Yeah.
that.
So it sounds like y'all didn't say that protection part at the end. Y'all just said, don't wear that. And she said, hell no, I'm wearing it. And we ain't going to the gun range.
And they got to be some wild boys to be tripping at the gun range, bro. You got to really be out there.
It's
Okay,
all
so
kinds at the gun range. It's
let me
all
ask you
kinds.
guys this
Yeah,
here.
it's
Because so like you guys said earlier, Willie said earlier, Eric is taking control of the situation when he say, okay, we're just not going to go to the gun range. Okay, so she's supposed to just understand that, right? So later that night, she says, okay, and you want to have sex. She say, oh no, we're not having sex. Then it's a problem for you guys, right? Because
I
she
think he knew
controls.
that was happening when he shut it down.
Exactly.
Right.
He wasn't.
He knew he
trust me, when
knew he
said
was
we
gonna
ain't
be
going,
playing the PS5 when he said we shutting it down.
Yeah, that's
He
why
knew at this
that
point.
party was over.
Yeah, he knew his
That's why
night
he
was
went to
done.
his shoes off.
Skylar,
Yeah.
what you say? He come right in the house.
You hear that? You hear that little beat go off on the PS5? It's a wrap. You cancel the date, and you think you gonna get some? Nah, man, you gonna hit your boys. Hey, y'all hopping on the game, bro? She gonna hear that beep go off, and she gonna know what it is. It's a wrap.
Okay. Okay. So Skylar,
but see,
go ahead, Eric.
but that's where maturity comes in. You know, I mean, it's like because of this, because I said no to this. Now you want to say no to that. That's immaturity right there. That's straight up immaturity.
Tip for tat.
Yeah, it's just straight up immaturity because one has nothing to do with the other. You got to understand,
Absolutely.
like he says, you know, I'm there to protect you. You know, we going into it's a controlled environment, but at the same time, it's an uncontrolled environment. And I know that being in that environment, when dudes come in there with their women, you know, if I ain't in there with my girl, I'm sitting there looking at them like, God dang it, man, this mother, you know, she fine. So if I know I do it, why should I bring my girl in there in some, you know, revealing your shape and your bodily figure, you know, where it ain't nothing but a bunch of guys in there. Hey, just put on some jeans. We can still go. Just put on some jeans.
But you hear what women are going to hear, that you don't want men doing what you do to other women.
Hey, that's another podcast. We'll talk about that on the other podcast. That's not for today.
Here's the reality too. I think we have to give people credit, and I think we have to give women credit too. Women know when they're wearing something that is a little bit more eye candy than something else. They know that.
Most definitely.
Absolutely.
They know that as well. And women know that environment makes a difference also.
Mm-hmm.
But it worked for you guys in the beginning. So
maybe it did, but she still understood the environment, even when she was trying to get you.
Right.
It wasn't like she was oblivious, like, okay, I'm gonna go out here and I'm gonna wear this revealing clothes and bet not nobody look at me.
Well, do you think communication is key? How you communicate the way you feel into her?
Yeah.
Because if you just go and say, don't wear that, she's gonna jump to the defense and be like, no, I'm wearing it. Because you didn't give any type of context as to why you feel she shouldn't wear that.
Yeah. I agree.
It's a tactful way that you should say any and everything. Very, very, you just can't go in there like, you know, demanding, don't wear that because I said so. Man, that's an argument.
Yep.
We going into this type of environment.
It depends on the relationship too, though. It depends on how y'all relationship. You know, because if you've never came at her that way, then she might say, "Wait a minute, he's never did this. Let me go and think about why it's possible. It's a reason he don't want me to wear this because he ain't never. Anytime she went anywhere and did anything, you've never said, "Hey, don't wear that." But all of a sudden, this one time, you're like, "Don't wear that." You know,
because if you go to the same place with jeans on, nothing is said. But then you go back to that same place with some tights on, because I know what it looks like. You know, from me seeing when I'm in that environment. You know, chick coming here with tights on. You know, midriff shirts. You know, breasts hanging out. I'm like, man, I don't want to bring my woman in no environment like this. I just don't.
Okay.
There ain't nobody shooting at the target, huh?
Everybody missing. Everybody missing.
So let me ask you guys this here. Do women know their places in relationships?
What does that mean?
I would say it depends on what you define your relationship to be.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Like, you trying to set us up?
No, y'all can answer that.
Know they place.
Yeah.
Do women know their places in relationships?
All right,
Do they know
got
their
you,
role?
John. They know the role. This is gonna sound bad. I'm not good with words, but they know the role that they're supposed to play based on what role y'all assigned each other. There we go. I got myself. I was gonna say they know the role that you give them. No, they know the role that you assign each other to. Like for me and my wife have completely opposite gender roles. Like don't get it wrong, I still work and all that stuff, but I do like the PTA. I go to every school function. I'm the dad that goes to the field trips. Now my mom, my wife, she walks in and they're like, ma'am, can I get your ID? I don't know you at the
Right.
school, but they know me.
Yeah.
So I have to tell them like, oh yeah, that's my wife. They're like, oh hey, like they literally don't know her face. But that's because I wanted, in the beginning, I told her, she was like, you want all these kids, I don't really want to do all this other stuff. And I was like, bet, I love to do it. So I'm at all the events. I do all that stuff. The schools call me. I'm number one on the list. If they need something, I go get it. It's real simple for me to play that role because that's the role that I wanted. It wasn't like a traditional role where, you know, I show up for my kids on kindergarten graduation and in high school, and that's about it. It's not the traditional gender roles at all. It's kind of
But do you
reversed.
think most men or some men go into relationships with the mindset of a traditional role for a woman?
I think they
Maybe
should
20
express that
years
if they
ago.
want that.
Yeah, and maybe 20 years ago that was kind of the role, but nowadays it's wide open. Anybody can do anything. A lot of women make more than their significant others, you know. So are you expecting her to still come home, cook and clean and all that, and she paying all the bills, you working part-time? Kind of not. You know, you kind of see a lot of guys being a stay-at-home dad, you know, raising the kids. You see all kind of stuff now. So there's really, the roles are what you define them as your relationship goes. That's how it pretty much is. I don't care how long you've been, you know, thinking that you're going to come and find a woman that was like your mama or your grandmama. Them days is over. You know?
Hey,
He said it's over.
Okay, but we had
Willie.
one of the
Hey,
guests
Willie.
that was on the podcast. Go ahead, Eric.
Hey Willie, if you know some women out there that make a lot of money, send them my way. You know, over 100.
No,
over
you don't
six
want them
figures, send
because,
them my
hey,
way.
every one of them I've ran into, they husband was trying to get out of there.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Else.
Next
They
podcast.
took them brothers through.
Man.
Next podcast.
Scholar, flip your light on, man. You fading into the dark over there.
Oh shoot, I am. Let me go hit that, man. I don't know what happened. Right. Golly, I didn't even notice.
But
So good.
you asked that question to Skylar with like this.
Yes, I did. Let me see what happened.
So let me ask you guys this. So we had a guy on here, and I respect a lot of stuff that he had to say. So his viewpoint on that was a man shouldn't be dating if he can't be the sole provider for his wife. Like
I
she
guess I'll
should
be
quit.
single.
She should quit her job, stay at home. She shouldn't marry. What do you guys think about that? Because like you guys said, you know, both people are working. They are working, and you can't come in with the traditional mindset, but you want modern day living. What do you guys think about that? Sentell, we'll start with you on that.
I disagree with that. You know, I totally disagree with that. You know, bottom line is, you know, nowadays it's not like 30 years ago, right? I mean, when I was being raised, my father, he was a sole provider. My mom stayed at home, and we lived pretty well, right? But nowadays, if you want to have a decent life, you got to two incomes is very, very helpful. You know what I'm saying? And if my partner makes a little bit more money than me, that's fine. You know, I mean, we still should be a team, you know, to push this thing forward. I mean, my ego is not that big to where I'm going to be like, you know, hey, I can't deal with that, or I'm not going to tell another man that, hey, if you can't provide for that house to where she just has to stay home, that he can't, you know, you shouldn't be dating. I think that's silly, man. Like that's unrealistic nowadays, I think. So, you know.
Yeah.
Particularly
Only people that make a lot of money say shit like that.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that, man. I mean, it's easy for you to say if you bring it in like $300,000-$400,000 a year. Oh, niggas can't date. They ain't got this. Yeah, that's easy for you to say. But that's
Scholar,
not,
I like that.
90% of the people don't make that money.
Thank you.
Right. I'm glad that you said that, because sometimes we hear guys saying stuff like that. Like I heard Steve Harvey say something close to that perspective. But and my thing is, okay, Steve, we talk about Steve Harvey now, but when you were Steve Harvey living in your car, did you have that same conviction? Them first.
I bet you had a girl though.
Huh? But I bet you had
you had a girl though.
Thank you.
There you go.
So that's crazy.
Okay, so you guys believe two incomes. So is it a 50-50 deal, or do we go with what the Bible said, that the man runs everything, that he's in control, or is it, no, bruh, we bringing the same to the table, it's equal here?
You're talking about two different things, though. 50-50 as in what? Finances? Are you talking about finances?
50-50 as in say so. I'm wearing this tonight to the concert.
Okay.
What's up with you, man? And people wearing stuff to the concert, John?
No, man, he is on that. I mean,
who did I check out with wore something crazy to the concert, man? Good Lord.
Somebody told John, I'm wearing it.
Exactly. This
Who that
is
Kiki
really how it
Palmer
goes.
you, man?
Right. This really how it goes, though, Judge. Some days it's 50-50. Some days it's 60-40. Some days it's 30-70. Some days it's 100-0. If she don't have it to give, I got to pick up the slack. If I don't have it to give, she picks up the slack. That's just how it works. It's never a even balance. Some weeks she doing everything and I'm doing nothing. Some weeks I'm doing everything and she doing nothing. We take care of each other that way. We don't look at it as, oh, I'm doing everything. You ain't doing nothing. It's not a competition. We in this together. We trying to make this house a home. We trying to make this a family. So sometimes I pick up the slack. Sometimes she picks up the slack. We don't do
my
no
wedding anniversary caption. Yep, that's exactly what it was. It's never 50-50.
It isn't. That's facts. It's never 50-50. I mean, there's sometimes it's 50-50, but most of the time, nah. You got it. I got it. We got it.
You got to do what needs to be done to keep the household happy and running. That's it.
Yeah.
Y'all see that comment?
I missed it.
He don't have to make 100K, but he got to grind hard or meet my grind, or I can't do it.
See,
I think that's fair though. Like I feel like you can't be comfortable and just be like, well, I'm making my 40K and I'm happy I ain't doing shit else. If you're with a woman that's grinding, you're not going to want that because it looks lazy. It looks like you're not wanting to achieve
that
better.
Man could be he could be a construction worker making 40K, and if that's what he wanted to do before he met you, he was doing that. You can't expect him to go for the management position. He never had them desires. He never had them. He just wanted to drive his 87 Regal and have his 40K.
Put him in an 87. Dang.
87 Regal, baby.
But what about all right, I'm going to take it back to the clothes like John. See, John, I got you. I know you want to get back to the clothes. So that girlfriend that was walking around them tights at the gun range, it was cool when she was your girlfriend and had aspirations to wear tights. But when she's your wife, she got to throw on jeans?
So just
yeah. Okay, I'm gonna say it for the rest of the fellas. Yeah, she got to throw on some damn jeans. We're not doing that. You know what I'm talking about? We're not doing that. When you're a girlfriend or when you're single and you're doing those things, that's one thing. But look, you know what I'm saying? Nah, we're not doing that. We're gonna slow down on that.
One thing is disrespectful. The other thing is that's not my ambition. The tights, that can be disrespectful. You bend over in most tights, you can see through those things.
Right.
Me not going for the management position, how is that disrespecting you?
I think this was coming to my head. Maybe I might be off. Long story to say something short. When I was a kid, I went on this date, had to be about 16 years old, took this girl to just this burger joint in the movies. She was mad that we went to this little burger joint from Indiana in the movies and was like, well, you couldn't treat me? I'm ready to go home. So I came home. I had to be about 16. My mama was washing dishes and my dad was in the front room. And my mom said, what are you here so early for? I said, I dropped her off home. She said, why you drop her off home? I said, because she didn't like the fact that I just took her to the little burger joint and was going to take her to the movie. She said that you can't treat me. Man, my mom in one single blow put them dishes down and said, nigga, you the treat. You the treat. Did you try to get the girl's pants? No, ma'am. Did you try to get fresh with her? No. Was you nice to her? Yes. Were you kind to her? Yes. Did you pay for the meal? Yes. You the treat. I know this. I've had that same philosophy from 16 to where I'm at right now. Sometimes I don't think men have to know their worth. I may not be making 1K right now, but I'm something special. And if you don't want to be with me, there's your sorrow will. How
Oh
about
no.
somebody else
You
will?
wrong for that. You
Somebody
wrong for
else
that.
will like me. Somebody else will value me. And I'm not saying that to say go after your sorrow. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is value yourself enough to know that I'm not out here lazy. I'm out here grinding. I'm out here doing. Because what happens if you graduate from college and you wanted to be a teacher, and one day you want to be a principal?
Right.
You can't go into the first year of teaching and then that second year say, I'm going to take my principal license, and the third year be a principal. They don't do that in no ISD. It takes some time to get through a time point for you to make a jump in your career to move to stuff like that. And if you with someone that's tripping and you working during the summer, paying for stuff out of your pocket, trying to lead a classroom, trying to educate these kids, and she tripping that you ain't making this type of money, and you teaching after school and you doing tutoring, and you ain't doing this, then drop her. She ain't the one with you.
Man,
so when you do become the principal, when you do become the superintendent, the girl that was with you through them lean years is the one that will value you later too.
Well,
Mhm.
to that
You might
young
not want to be a
lady,
principal.
yeah,
That
to
too. You
to
may
that
just
young
want to be a
lady-
teacher.
But see,
Good.
but what do you
Right.
do with the? What I think what the question was is, what do you do with somebody that's just happy being where they are with no growth? I think that's the issue with that is, let's say you want to be a teacher, that's
That's
all
not the
well and
person
good.
for you then.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what I was gonna say. Because
Right.
if somebody is just stagnant, because I'm not gonna lie, if I had a woman that like I'm out here trying to grind and move up my corporate ladder, and she's just straight being the just a regular worker, I guess. I don't know, but just to say, just a teacher. She don't want to do nothing else, but she's like, I just want to teach. There is no growth for me. I don't want to spin off and do a tutoring during the summer. I just want to teach and have my summers off.
But should we have had found that out in the dating process before we got
Yep.
serious?
exactly.
Yes, you should. Yes, you should.
Because you can't switch up now. You know, you
Yeah.
signed up. This is the worst. This is the worst right now. They're not trying to progress in the job. And it's not even so much that they're not trying to progress. They're just not doing what you want them to do because they may be evolving in other areas that are important to them. You know, you have to know who you're marrying. Everyone is not a corporate driven person. Everyone is not trying to excel in corporate. So you have to get all of that stuff clear, because if it was good for you in the beginning, hey, you're going to have to accept it right now. You can't switch up on me now and want me to be the CEO. And you didn't want that in the beginning.
That's why you got to have those future talks. And like
Exactly.
I was saying, I have to be with somebody who's my future goals align with. I'm okay with you changing. I'm okay with you growing. But all those changes, all that growing has to be towards the same goal that we made together. We can
Right.
have goals individually. Like individually, I'm in my household, I'm first, then my wife, then my kids, because I can't give you what I don't have. If I'm not full, I can't give you what you need. I can't give my kids what they need. I can't give my job what they need. So I gotta make sure that I invest in me. I gotta make sure that I do my workouts, my runs, because that's what fuels me and gives me the energy to come home and give 80-20 when you can't. But I can't give 80 if I'm already depleted, not taking care of myself. And then we're gonna clash because I'm gonna start keeping score. I'm not gonna, like Willie said, I can't keep score with you and say, man, I've been going 70-30 for about 2 weeks. I can't keep score. Because if I keep score, then I start to see like, oh, well, I'm doing a little bit more, but not really paying attention to, well, maybe my wife is going through something at this time. Maybe she's, like you said, there could have been a death, some type of depression, some type of anxiety. Maybe her work job life isn't going where she wants it to go, and I'll be required to put in way more. But I can't do that if I'm not finding my own individual goals. So you got to make sure that you're good. And I think a lot of times men don't do that, because this whole time we've been talking, all we talked about was men and what they do for protection and how much they make. But we have so much more value than what we bring financially to the table. And I think that's a big thing for us, is that we don't get a lot of credit for, you know, like the women roles in the relationship, like taking care of your kids and doing things like that. We get criticized for that stuff and say, oh, we shouldn't get a flower for that. Women been doing that forever. But I'm not asking you to, but I'm just saying, give me props based on things outside of what I can do for you financially and what I can do for you besides trying to fight people at the gun range because you got on tights.
Right. So let me ask you this here, and this is piggyback off of what Skylar says, where he was saying men don't get credit for all the things that they bring to the relationship. Do you think that is because men have fallen into this stereotype? Because a lot of times men will just say, well, I don't need that, or I'm just here to protect and provide. Do you think that's why it's not recognized because y'all signed up to only be a provider?
No, I think that's just what has been accustomed to everybody. You think about it. Father's Day comes, how many commercials do you see?
None.
Exactly. You can go get a table at your favorite restaurant. Yeah, you can get it. Or you on the grill, or we buying you some tools to keep everything else running. That's the commercials they do for Father's Day. Right? Yeah. Mother's Day.
But what's wrong with the man saying, no, this year I want to be celebrated?
Nothing.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, but we've been right, but we've been.
I want that on a t-shirt, bro. I'm the treat.
No, you don't want that on the shirt. Somebody might see that. The wrong person might say you. So don't do that one. Let them just say it.
So Sentell, do you speak up in your marriage? Did you speak up on Father's Day when you or any time in your relationship you felt devalued or underappreciated? Did you speak up and say, hey, no, I need more than this?
I think as men, we get into a cycle and a habit of just dealing with stuff, right? You know, we just, you know, I mean, a lot of times we were raised like in a sense of, hey man, be a man, you know, stop all that whining, stop all that crying. You know, you don't get something, you know what? Naturally, we defer to to the rest of the family, our wives and our kids. So it's just a cycle for us embedded in our minds that, you know, if we don't get anything for Father's Day, cool. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't expecting nothing because I'll never get nothing for Father's Day anyway. You know what I'm saying? But the only thing that a lot of times we're okay with we want for Father's Day is, or what we're expecting for Father's Day is just a little bit of peace. You know what I'm saying? Just give me some peace. You know,
he said a little bit. You can't even get a lot.
Just give me a little bit of peace. You know, so but yeah, so that narrative is out there that you know, I mean, it's almost like we can be second-class citizens, you know, in a sense, you know, to the rest of the family. Wow. And unfortunately, you know, we just get used to just accepting that.
But how is it a man can go get a manicure and a pedicure with his wife, but he can't tell her what he needs in a relationship? Because back in the day, that wasn't considered manly either, getting manicures and pedicures. But we can go do that now. We can wear red bottom shoes as men, but we can't communicate that I need more in my relationship. And it's that her fault for not giving you what you're not communicating.
Well, I would say this. Let me add this to that. We as men have to do better with communicating too. Right. So yeah, we have to accept that responsibility. We have to learn how to be better communicators and how to kind of open up for the most part. You know, just I think we're historically not great at that, right? Have my thoughts on why that's the case, but we definitely need to be better communicators and open up to like, because we can't expect them to know what we need, you know, if we don't say something, you know. So yeah, we definitely got to accept hold ourselves accountable in that standpoint and be better in that space.
So I think you got to be safe in that space. I think a lot of times we, especially as Black men, we're viewed as protectors and we're always told to man up and, hey man, don't whine about that, man up and just deal. And I think it takes some time to get over that. And it really takes a special woman to make you feel safe enough to be vulnerable where she won't be like, oh man, that dude's soft because he told me he needs da 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 da. And let's be real, nobody wants their woman looking at them like they soft. Once a woman look at you like you soft, you done. It's a wrap. And it's your wife has to be okay with hearing that quote unquote softer side. And for me, it took a lot to get to that point to say, you know what, I really just need to lay down on you. That's what I need. And I need, hey, you know what, I really need this from you. Or I'm feeling like you're pulling away doing this. But my wife really does create a safe space for me. And that's the one thing I love about her. I can talk to her about anything. Like if she hurt my feelings, I can be like, hey man, you know that you kind of put that on a little hard. And she's like, oh, you know what? Da, 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 da. We'll talk about it, do our little apologies, and move on. But if you don't feel safe in that space to actually make it to happen, where it feels inviting and it won't be thrown in your face, whereas it's like it won't come back up later and be like, man, you was whining about da 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 da. At that point, you as a woman, you lost all communication. That man's never gonna tell you nothing else, and he's probably gonna go find him another woman, and you done. Because nobody ever wants something that they value to be thrown in their face when I'm being vulnerable with you. Nobody ever wants that. Like to me, that's a complete like you just destroyed all my trust in you, and now I can't be anything but hard and be a rock. And you're not going to want that, but you created that environment to where that's all I can be. So I would have to leave to grow from that. So you got to create a safe space for your man to actually want to be vulnerable and not just make it to where he seems like, oh, he's soft because he wants this or that.
And many times we've never seen it modeled too. We've never seen it modeled where a man could emote from that perspective. I read this book a while ago called Love and Respect by Emerson Eggerichs, and he takes that whole perspective of Ephesians 5 and talk about that at the end, the foundation is that men want to be respected and women want to be loved. And he said that sometimes when women don't feel loved, they'll respond to their husbands in ways that is disrespectful, and they'll respond to ways that is unloving. But he has this section where he kind of gives this example of what you should be doing, you know, and something happens as a man. And the section says a woman said this to her husband, and he said, you know, honey, when you said that didn't make me feel respected. Did I do something that made you feel unloved? And initially, when I read that book, I was like, oh, heck no, they ain't working in black homes. Baby, did I do something that made you feel unloved? Because when you said that didn't make me feel respected. The response that we gonna get sometimes, or we think we're gonna get is, you know what? You did say something that was unloving. And that ain't even the case. You was just tripping because you was tripping. So the reality is, if that's never been modeled for us, we've never seen that, to then tell us, I need you to emote so I can be vulnerable and put myself out here so you can nail me to the cross. I'll pass.
So do you guys, and I'm going to say this because, Skylar, you guys have used black men and black homes a lot here tonight. So do you think black women create safe spaces for their black kings? Is king, are y'all even kings anymore?
I think it has to be modeled too. I think
John, you demoted us, bro.
Yeah, God. Y'all ain't kings. Y'all some bangers.
Y'all whining like some little girls tonight. So hey, I'm trying to figure out, this ain't even a safe space. I'm sick of y'all whining tonight. But
I think it goes both ways, John. I think it goes both ways. If it's never been modeled for her either, how would she know? If it's never been modeled for her either, if let's say she grew up in a home where her dad was absent, or her dad was there and he was just distant, or say he was just passive, or she didn't have an uncle or a grandfather to kind of, if she didn't learn this, then it'd be difficult for her to treat her husband like a king or something like that. You know, change requires either I've learned it from somewhere, I've had it modeled to me from somewhere, or I read something and I decided to make a change in my own personal life. Well, if any of those three have never happened, how you going to know how to do something that you've never seen? You think that you're treating him like a king, and it'd be like, that's not what I wanted. How would she know? It goes for us too.
Jay, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So you said if the woman is raised with the father in the house, right? Or no, you said if the child is raised and the father wasn't in the house, she doesn't know that, right?
Well, it could be different things. It could be either A, the dude was there but he wasn't present.
Okay,
that could bring a bad result. He's not there at all. That could bring a different result. He's there, but he's aggressive. That could bring a different result. Or he's there and he's a really good dude. That could bring a different result.
Okay, all right. I see you now. Because a lot of my situation was, well, my parents have been married 40 years. Okay, yeah, but it was 35 years of dysfunction.
Right. That don't mean the dude was a stand-up cat or the marriage was good.
Right. And so you're trying to model what I'm trying to do off of dysfunction that you grew up in.
Right.
And then I grew up in a single parent home, and you want to try to knock me because of my upbringing when I don't knock you for your upbringing. What I'm trying to get you to do is just line up with me and let's build what we're building together. But it never could come in alignment. And that's, just why I knew at some point I just had to get out of it. That's awesome that you said that, because sometimes we believe that longevity with our parents mean health. And sometimes it's not. Yep. Your parents was together for 50 years, but they was whacked 47 of them. Right.
49 and a half.
Right.
Yeah. Your dad was
didn't even give him a whole year.
Whatever the case may be.
Yep.
So Sentell, do you, and I'm gonna ask all of you guys, do you believe your home was a safe space? Did you, in your marriage, was it a safe space for you to be vulnerable?
No. Now I know mine's not, and I skipped the line. No.
I was like, I
know you ain't talking to me,
but I
got
said Sentell, but he talking. Okay, yeah, okay. So Eric said no. Sentell, what do you say?
I would say, man, that's a good question, man. I think I would say, I don't know, man. Come back to me, man. That's a good question. Come back to me on that.
You say, don't get him in trouble out here in these streets.
Man, look.
He's trying to get you. My man just said it was a little complicated, and you trying to throw him. Help him out.
So, really, do you have a safe space? Do you have a safe space?
Sometimes, yes.
Or do you need a safe space?
Sometimes everybody needs a safe space. Sometimes, but sometimes, yes, it is a safe space. But sometimes, no, it's going down, and you have to know that this ain't the time to be that.
Oh,
I'm just saying. I mean, we've been married 27 years. We've been up, we've been down, we've been all the way around, and we still hanging on. So, I mean, that's just the way it goes. Sometimes we're in the mood to sit there and have these conversations, and sometimes I'm not saying that it's her that don't want to conversation. Sometimes it's me. I don't feel like talking about feelings and emotions and how I'm feeling and how you feeling and what's going on. It's just and then sometimes we'll have conversations all through the night and neither one of us even go to sleep, having those conversations. That's just the reality of it. Sometimes it's that time to talk and sometimes it's not.
Yeah. So it sounds like you have a safe space to do that. And you also have a safe space to not have a conversation. And sometimes not having a conversation is just important as having it.
Yes.
Because if
I agree.
If you're gonna just fight and there's no point, like my wife is big on, hey man, let's table this and come back to it, because if we talk about it, I'm not gonna really focus and it'll be a pointless conversation. You're gonna be talking to a wall. I can respect that. I was like, bet, I'm not gonna waste my breath. You let me know when you're ready, we'll talk it out.
Okay. Jay, do you have a safe space in your upcoming relationship, your upcoming marriage?
Yeah. She's a very advocate. She advocates that real strong about having a safe place. Yeah. And advocates really strong of communication, that if things get rocky, like Skylar said, like, look, man, if we both kind of upset about this, let's table this right now and let's pick it up tomorrow.
Nice. Skylar, you good? You got a safe space?
Oh yeah, man, but it was definitely created in the beginning. when you're married at 24, 25, you really don't know what a safe place is. You really don't know yourself, and you go into marriage with these expectations that you know nothing about, because these are expectations that were kind of thrown upon you. And once we started defining our marriage how we wanted it to be and learning how to argue, learning how to communicate, because that's another thing, is people always say you got to learn how to communicate. No, you got to learn how to argue. Everybody can communicate, but everybody can't argue. And a lot of times we walk out of there like Willie said, hey, you know what? You want this, I want that. I guess ain't nobody getting nothing today. What you want to eat for dinner?
Right. Because you ain't gonna get none tonight. You damn sure ain't gonna get none tonight.
Yeah, she gotta go put on
PS5 is gonna go beep, and I'm gonna play my game and be happy. So
and y'all gonna eat dinner. Y'all gonna eat dinner with her in her tights that you won't let her wear.
At the gun range. Everything at the gun range. So that, a safe place that we created together. So that's what makes it good, to where we can actually voice our opinions. We can talk if we want to talk, but if we want to sit in silence for 24 to 48 hours, we can do that too, and still have dinner and be happy.
Okay. Sentell, you ready?
Man, I ain't answering that question, bro. You know what
I'm saying? Good answer.
I don't know if that's a good answer or not.
Look, I'll say this, like, for real, you don't know what you don't know. Like the talk of safe spaces and stuff like that. Like, I got married when I was, I think I was around 24 years old.
Yep.
So a lot of these things, this terminology that we're using right now, that stuff didn't exist, 1890 safe spaces, boundaries, red flags, all this stuff is new things, right? But what did exist is what we knew as, okay, take care of your family, take care of your wife, do all of these things, right? So I say all of that to say this. There's a level of immaturity that us as men, we can have when we get married as, young. There's a lot of things that we just don't know. We emulate what we saw from our parents or what we saw from other couples, but we live in a new day now. So what you do have to be honest about and open to is, you have to be open to learning new things, this new terminology, these safe spaces, all these different things, and realizing where you came up short, right? Because you can't expect the safe space if you didn't provide that same safe space, right?
Yeah.
So I'm reluctant to answer the question because mentally hold myself accountable. How can I say that this wasn't a safe space if I didn't provide that said safe space? So it just made me question myself, like, damn, did you provide a safe space? So before I answer that question. So if that makes sense.
Yeah, damn.
Well, you got some great answers, man. You killing it on them. I'm telling you.
Well,
get a lot of people out of control.
Therapy been working there. That's what it is, bro.
Yeah,
go to therapy.
I knew it. The way he answered that question about the tights and didn't just be like, well, I told her to wear it, she's gonna wear it. He's like, well, no, I want to make it protective. And man, you worded that great. If I ever got to tell Britt not to wear some shit, I'm gonna be like, hold on, let me go to this podcast. Let me see what YouTube. What did he tell her to say?
Hey, Sentell, give him your number so he can, at the look up the podcast. Just give him
right. There we go.
What do I say in this situation? Protection.
As we talking, I'm kind of thinking baseline. Now you can't prepare yourself for those awkward things that happen or those those rare things. But baseline in my first marriage, man, I was not prepared for anything about marriage. Conflict resolution, communicating, safe space. The idea of compromise, I wasn't prepared for that. And when I start talking to a lot of my peers, even those who have had what we could call successful, healthy marriages, they weren't prepared for it either. Mm-hmm. And some of their parents had been married successfully in healthy marriages for 30, 40 years, and their parents still never told them about what you should do and how you handle conflict, how you handle argument, how you handle finance, how do you do this? How do you know that sometimes it ain't going to be 50-50? You might be given 90 and they may be given just whatever they can give.
Hey,
no one prepared us for that.
AJ, look at everybody on the screen. Everybody looks healthy.
Right.
Who on the screen look like they got diabetes? Who on the screen look like they got high blood pressure?
Right.
Who on the screen looks like they got cancer? I mean, just on the outside, it looks like a healthy relationship.
Yep.
But on the inside, what type of internal dysfunction is going on and we don't even know about it?
Right.
Yeah, 35 years, 67 years. Oh, that was a healthy marriage. Who knows what kind of hell they went through?
Right.
Yeah.
Who knows what kind of hell we going through in the 5 and the 4 and the 19 and the 27 years that we've been married. But on the outside, when you go to Family Dollar and some old lady look at you and see your family, oh, you have a beautiful family. It's wonderful. You have a healthy relationship. And you saying to yourself, this.
You have no idea.
You have no idea.
Just about to kill her.
You have no idea.
I think that Jay. I think
Eric,
Jay brought up a good point.
Eric,
though.
you look better. I went to Family Dollar and tried to run out. You stopped me. That's why I ain't in the car now.
I'm trying to leave them in there. All of them.
He said all of them. But I think Jay had a real good point. Is that I really do think that, again, as black men and for black families, I know you never see people, you never see your parents argue. I grew up in a single parent household, but I had friends and all that, and they're like, my parents never really argued, and then when they graduated or something, their parents got divorced. I think a lot of times the two things that black people really don't discuss is their finances and their marriage. Like, those are two things that we do not I'll say we don't discuss the problems in our finances and the problems in our marriages.
Right.
So we never really are able to get advice, because think about all the guys' nights y'all go out and people hit you with, hey man, how's the wife and kids? Oh, they straight, bro. That's always the answer. And I think it's because, they good. Oh, how y'all doing? You and your wife good? Oh, we good. You never honestly answered that question, because I think we have a fear that if we tell our boys, man, it's tough out here, bro. Like, me and the wife got into it, this and that. It comes off as you don't have your shit together. You know what I mean? Like, you afraid of your boy saying, oh man, I knew that nigga didn't have that shit together, man. He just on here living the IG dream. And I told you they was fighting over there. Yeah. Like, we have to normalize the struggle that is marriage. It's not what you see on the outside. It's not these black love posts and shit. It ain't none of that. That's a damn picture in time that we probably fussed about and then took the picture that looked fucking great. Like, it's never what that is. And I think we got to stop being afraid to say, hey man, how's your wife and everything? Man, dude, we got into it and this and that happened. And then we can throw it back on them and say, hey, has that ever happened to you? And if that's your boy, if he don't tell you, he's full of shit. And he probably don't need to be your boy no more. Yeah. You're trying to we have to create safe spaces for black men to feel safe in, just for us as well. Mm-hmm. Not even just our women, but we got to feel safe around each other. You can't call a friend your friend if you can't tell them, though, I'm going through it right now. If you can't do that with your friends, you need a better circle.
Yeah.
Skylar, let me add to that, man. Everything you said, bro, that's exactly it. And I think what we have to do to go along with what you were saying as black men, what we have to start doing is, every 3 weeks, hook up with your boys, man. You got to hook up with your wolf pack, right? And you guys got to have these conversations, right? Because that's your time to vent to people that you could trust, right? If you're not, if you go to therapy, that's great. Everybody should do that, in a certain sense. But, if you can't afford therapy or whatever, you have built-in therapists, so to speak. You got to get with your wolf pack, right? And you just got to take that time. If it's an hour, 2 hours, you know what I'm saying? Ease off on the liquor when you do it if you can, you know what I'm saying? And just check up on each other, because nobody's going to save us but us. We got to start looking out for each other.
We got to be vulnerable with each other too. And we got to just pretty much own our shit and just stop trying to. We are in that social media age where everybody looks like they're doing great. Yeah. Everybody marriage looks happy in these photos. Everybody looks great in these videos. But when them cameras go off and you sitting on your couch, can you legit look over at your wife and be like, yeah, I fuck with you? If you can't, then you got a problem right then. And me and my wife always tell people, because we joke and have a lot of fun online and stuff like that. And people, every time they see us, oh man, y'all look like y'all have a ball. We like, hey, that's that shit on there to get posted. Don't get it twisted. We fight like everybody else. And one good thing that we recently started doing was traveling with other couples. And we really do sit down and, get our why did I get married on? Like, we ask each other questions like, yo, when you got married, what was your expectation of what you thought was going to happen? And most of the time, all the men have the same answer. Man, I thought I was going to just have in-house ass on tap. Whenever I wanted it, I was like, boom, I'm getting married for that. And we all know it don't go down like that at all. Because you have arguments. They don't want to now. And now what? What do you do? But a lot of times those are things that that are not discussed amongst most married people because we always give the generic, we good over here. So yeah, be open with each other. That's a great idea, just to check in with your boys and just have a nice little mental health check-in day.
Yeah.
Well, it's an accountability partner.
Yeah.
An accountability
That's a good
partner.
note to end on, fellas. So, fellas out there listening, y'all hang out with y'all wolf packs, and ladies, y'all hang out with the hyenas. And hey,
So glad I'm married already. I ain't got to worry about the hyenas or the booger wolf.
Lord have mercy.
y'all hang out with the hyenas, and hey, everybody's married to be happy. But we're gonna have to get y'all back on here, fellas, because I have like so many things I need to ask y'all, but we done ran out of time tonight. So we're gonna have to get y'all back on here. I'll check y'all availability. But everybody, thank you for tuning in tonight. While you're there, please click on that like. Click on that like and share this with your friends, the hyenas. Share this with the hyenas, and fellas, share this with the wolves. So
Yeah,
hey,
you the treat, fellas. You the
You
treat.
treat, fellas. You treat.
you the treat.
Yeah, I'm
But
the treat.
hey guys, closing this here. So Jay is originally from Marion, Indiana, and he's talking 30 years ago when he took this young lady out. So if you ever been to Marion, Indiana, they have, I can't think of the name of the pizza that's like their climax, their papados. I think it's a spirals pizza, upper crust. So that's their papados there in Marion. So he probably took old girl to Dairy Queen, and that's why she was like, "Oh no, this ain't one day."
Hey, them blizzards go hard, bro. She's tripping if she ain't getting that blizzard.
She wanted the upper crust.
That's what she wanted.
So he forgot to tell that part. So yeah, he was the treat in that situation. He forgot to tell the truth about Marion, Indiana. But thank y'all for tuning in tonight. We'll be back on Monday next week. Derek Reed is the guest, and we probably have you guys back in 2 weeks to finish this discussion. But Derek Reed is the guest on next Monday, so make sure you tune in. And until then, peace.
Peace. Y'all take care.
All right.